Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop-side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SneakerHistory10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a LeBron James with no regard for human life. Final seconds. Bryant for the win.
Iverson against Gill, the crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Sneaker History Sports Podcast, where we dig a little bit deeper into the sports aspect of shoes, because you know what? They kind of intertwine anyway.
You don't say.
I'm Robbie Falchi. You know me, probably, if you listen to the podcast anyway. But I'm here with my good friend, Ro. Ro, give him the specs on your life. Who are you?
I am a 31-year-old Libra that's off the mark. No. I am a sports fan that likes talking about sports, that happened to be a part of Nike for a couple of years. So I have a very large amounts of shoes, and hopefully I will be able to articulate that more properly next time. But
I have large shoes.
I have large shoes. That's our that can be our title for the podcast. I have large shoes, and it's a picture of me with a Fabi mustache.
I have large.
Fabi and Robbie. That's another one. Fresh off the boat and Robbie. Oh God.
Like Toby and Bobby.
Toby and Bobby. You can be Toby and I will be Bobby. And hopefully I will have more acting range than John Wick 3. But yeah, sports fan, sneakerhead. Robbie reached out because we have a lot of mutual friends, and we realized we have a similar sense of humor and way around watching sports. So that is going to give you hopefully 45 to 55 minutes of enjoyment for your ears, and hopefully you can learn something and be educated at the same time.
We hope so. I mean, let's be real. A lot of us are sitting there looking through if you're being really cool, sneakerhistory.com and other various shoe blogs while we're watching sports. We're probably on eBay or on StockX, scrumming the bottom of the barrel for those shoes you didn't buy 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
While watching sports.
Of course.
Or you could be like me and you lightning hawk see a pair of shoes from way too far away and the player's wearing on the court. That happened to me with Trey Lyles with the who's he played for? I just saw them this week. San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
Trey Lyles. I was at the Blazer game, and I'm in the nosebleeds because my seats are not good. But I see from the 300 level all the way down there that he's wearing what the Kobe 8s. And I'm like, hot damn, I know that orange and blue shoe from a mile away. I'm instantly looking at shoes while I'm at my sporting event, seeing how much those are going for. And crying once they see what they're going for.
Yeah, this Kobe bump is not friendly for us sneakerheads.
It's not at all. But I guess moral of that whole story was that, shoes and sports go together like peas and carrots, don't they, Jenny?
Peas and carrots. Jenny.
Right.
No, I mean, exactly. And my whole perspective was I've always been a sports fan, and then I recently got into the sneakerhead game. So it's been interesting kind of going back and forth with Robbie because he is my sneaker godfather. He's Don Corleone. And I will always come to Robbie and say, hey, Robbie, can you tell me something about the sneaker? Because I remember it from this obscure sports memory that I had. And Robbie will always be like, well, that actually also happened in that sneaker, but did you know X, Y, and Z? So we're hoping we can fill in the gaps, whether you're sneaker-centric or sports-centric. Would that be fair to say, Robbie?
Very fair. And I love that you say that because I get way too many DMs from people who are like, what do you think about these Lakai shoes, which are skateboarding shoes? And I'll say, I haven't worn a pair of those since middle school. And then they'll follow-up question ask, do you remember how they fit? And I'm 30 now, so it's...
You're not 14 anymore?
Yeah, 14. I don't remember how those shoes fit from all the way that long
I've
ago.
seen you in a pair of Jinko jeans. You're telling me you're 30?
My Jinkos, my piped leg game is very strong. Let's put it that way.
I feel like you could put your entire cats through the space created by the bottom ends of your Jinko jeans.
And they'd be living for it.
Yeah.
But you have... okay, so you can't remember how a pair of shoes fit when you were 14, but I guarantee you can remember your favorite sports moment from when you were 14.
Absolutely.
Or your favorite your favorite heartbreak, your worst heartbreak in sports.
Absolutely.
Steve Nash leaving the Mavericks broke my damn heart.
Oh, absolutely. And I will be the sneaker guy. Air Jet Flight Max, probably my favorite Nike sneaker of all time. I will constantly scour eBay, do the StockX thing like Robbie was alluding to, because that shoe to me is the entry point into low-cut basketball shoes being a viable option. All due respect to the Mamba, RIP, we miss you, dog, but for me, that Air Jet Flight Max was the first actuality that, hey, low-cut shoes not only work, they allow us a certain degree of comfort and speed that high tops will just not give us.
And they just looked fast.
The big Velcro, it was a running shoe on steroids. I remember a Slam article about it because I think Lang Whitaker did a profile on Steve Nash. And his whole thought process was, hey, next time you watch Nash, look at his sneaker. It looks like a running shoe on sneaker. So I was like, I'm a big Nash fan. Let me look at the sneaker. And then I realized a lot of my other favorite players also wore that sneaker. Jason Williams, I think Wally Serbiak, Dirk might have had a run in them. And I was like, I love the fact that Wally, Miami's finest, all due respect, the Miak, he's probably the finest Red Hawk of this generation until he's not, and somebody will tell me on Twitter, and then hopefully we can get them out of your DMs so they can educate me about Miami Red Hawk basketball. But going back to the sneaker, it's just, I always love shoes with Velcros because up until the age of 18, I probably couldn't tie my shoes, and it was a joke in my family. So anytime I could hide that with a big Velcro strap, I would always do that.
Are you kidding? Or are you being dead serious?
No, I'm being dead serious. It's I've come a long way.
Oh man, I learned how to tie my shoes from my babysitter named Marge, who used to smoke cigarettes like Marge's sisters in The Simpsons.
Oh, Selma and Patty.
Yeah, and she used to be like, "You're gonna get this right, goddamn it!" And she would be sitting there like inside my parents' house where you can't smoke inside the house, like smoking cigarettes while babysitting me. Yeah, she taught me how to tie them. Though I was afraid of her, so I had to learn quick.
Listen. You need that forceful hand sometimes because I just had coddling and love, and I think the cord is still wrapped tight from both of my parents because I'm sure once we make this public, they're going to flood our reviews and give us each 5-10-star reviews.
They're going to show up and start listening.
Yeah.
We'll save that story for another episode of how committed Roe's parents are to his crafts.
Yep.
But it's adorable. Much like LeBron James is committed to his family, and you see him at every Sierra Canyon game, and it's so tight. I mean... Dabbing 101.
Not only that, like Zuri's YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. Super cool. Cooking food, healthy snacks.
I'm just wondering, what is Bryce going to do? Is Bryce the media mogul in all this? Because clearly Bronny has the basketball game on lock. Mm-hmm. Zuri is a media superstar. What's Bronny doing? Because all I see about Bronny, and rightfully so because I don't want to creep on a 14-year-old's Instagram, is he's a dancing machine.
Yeah. Showing up on TikTok a lot. But I don't know. That's going to be a good call. You can have a really good, triple threat right there with your kids.
Yeah. Ironically, similar to Jordan skates, where we have 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah, actually it is.
So we'll use that transition to talk about the thing that binds Robbie and I the most outside of sneakers, basketball. So Robbie, you were talking about the All-Star game. We've got it coming up. And you want to just look at the rosters and what's your first take on all this?
Man, All-Star 2020 like looking at the roster, it's like LeBron James picked everybody younger, and he's old now though, but like picked everybody younger than him, like substantially, except for Chris Paul. They're like him and Chris Paul are like the 2.5 men.
Yeah, the banana boat.
And everybody else is the half men.
Yeah,
with all these little young kids running around.
Manly men.
But I am super duper excited to watch this game. I'm rejuvenated by it because it felt stale for so many years. Even last year, or maybe it was the year before. I turned the game off. I was just sick of seeing like jacked up threes, and
when did you turn the game
fun.
off? If you don't mind me asking,
I want to say like halfway through the third. I was like, man, I could go to 24 Hour Fitness right now and just watch people shoot up bad threes.
I mean, not only that, the dirty secret about the All-Star game especially was, all due respect to the slam dunk contest, the best dunks were always in the fourth quarter when they had nothing to play for.
100%.
So that's your real slam dunk contest over All-Star weekend.
Like, I got a steal. I'm going to take a really, really slow two-step gather and do something crazy on the fast break.
Exactly.
While nobody chases me down.
Because that's what you want. You want the perfect slam up where it's just you and the ball in the hoop.
Well, so I guess before we jump into players, you understand the premise of how the new format of All-Star Game is going to work. So this should hopefully remedy people like me turning it off halfway through the third because they're sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. So, Ro, break down a little bit what's going on.
Sure. So algebra teachers everywhere are uniting that the fact that, hey, what we taught you in 7th and 8th grade kind of applies to the All-Star Game scoring structure. So what it is think about it as 4 games instead of 1. So the first quarter, we will have a running tally. Whoever scores the most points in the first quarter, they will win their charity $100,000. Similar format for the second and third quarter. Now, the tricky part is at the start of the fourth, we take the cumulative scores of the first 3 quarters, and what we want to do is add 24 because respect to Mamba, and what it's going to end up looking like in this hypothetical situation is the fact that let's say LeBron's team is up 100 to Giannis's 99. For LeBron's team to win the game, they have to score 24 more points. Similarly, the only way Giannis' team can also win is that they also have to meet that threshold of 124 points. So they have to score 25 points. Is that fair?
That's 100% right.
Okay. In case there are any other questions, I have study hours between the times of 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific on most weekdays, so let me know.
It's wild to think that it's only going to take 24 points. I get why they're doing 24, but if they decide to have a 3-fest, well, you get to 24 right quick. So I like to think that each respective team is going to cool off on the 3-pointers, and let's have some more dribble drives. Let's have some more contested have some real Kobe plays.
Hero ball through and through. Because, I mean, if there's a proper form for hero ball, it should be the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's also interesting to me is the fact that 3 of our most prolific shooters are out. So to your point, if we had a KD or a Steph or a Clay in the game, those 8 3-pointers could be got like that, and that game is over.
Mm-hmm.
But because I think we are a little light on shooters, it's going to be a really interesting game. The other thing that I'm also looking forward to is, to your point, Robbie, is this going to be a reoccurring thing where we're going to add that 24-point total at the end of the fourth? I hope not, because I kind of like this intuitiveness and this new inventive nature of the NBA All-Star Game. Because unlike baseball, where we're putting an unreal amount of expectation where the winner of the baseball All-Star Game gets home field in the World Series, which I think is a sham because that's an exhibition game.
Yeah,
that shouldn't correlate to your championship.
Part of me thinks it's cool, though, because there's stakes. But it's true. Also so stupid.
No, but I mean, one of my favorite wrinkles has been, and I think basketball has been at the forefront of it, is I remember for one of the Olympic qualifying games that it was tied after 4 quarters, and the overtime rules were simple. It's first bucket wins. And I think that would be another fascinating wrinkle, where it's tied 100 to 100. You're going into overtime. Overtime is literally first possession wins, so similar to the NFL. That can be really interesting because do you see people kind of climb up in that big moment? And then that would also be an interesting homage to Mamba, because Mamba would always get the bucket no matter what.
Mm-hmm. That'd be tough, especially just how easy it is to score in the NBA.
Yeah.
Unlike baseball, where it takes some kind of maybe mental lapse by the pitcher.
It's attrition through and through.
Yeah, that'd be tough. But I mean, so roster-wise, I think these teams, like you were saying, there's not a lot of elite there's 2 elite shooters that I see in this list.
Yeah. And they're both on Team LeBron, it seems.
Oh, that's where we'll talk about that.
Yes.
I differ there. So I think there's one on each team.
Okay, bring it on.
So for Team LeBron, we have Anthony Davis, no surprise.
Yep.
Kawhi Leonard, not surprised because LeBron is competitive, but surprised because he chose him.
I think he doesn't want to get guarded by Kawhi during the game. I think it's smart.
Cover himself defensively by putting him on the same team.
Yes.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. And then he went with Luka Doncic, who
hopefully
baby LeBron.
Baby LeBron.
I mean, okay, so asterisk. I think it's incredibly unfair to call Luka baby LeBron because it's not unfair to Luka. It's unfair to LeBron. Like LeBron, we take him for granted. We take him so for granted.
Okay, haters aside, LeBron is the one thing that has lived up to our expectation as basketball fans.
And he's still not good enough. He meets expectation, and we make some other arbitrary, dumb expectation on the side of it.
He, unfortunately, is also the king of having the goalpost move back on him.
Yes.
Because just whenever you think he's done this next Herculean feat, guess what? You didn't do it this
6-0.
Yeah, 6-0. So I think it's interesting that LeBron also kind of picked this team where he has this theme of LA against the world, as we'll see when we cover Giannis's roster. Luka is going to be interesting because the other thing I fear that we also kind of take granted for LeBron, to Robbie's point, is the fact that we shouldn't call somebody a baby anybody until that person is at the league. Let Luka be Luka.
Mm-hmm.
If LeBron's gone and Luka can give us memories like the 38 special, or that game 5 or 6 in Boston where he just took the soul out of Boston, or he has this Herculean movement to cleanse an entire city of its losing. Like
next time he dunks over human beings, like full-size human beings in a game.
Or if Luka has 3 adorable children that do various media things, going back to that old talking point, Luka is Luka, LeBron is LeBron.
100%. It's just, we always just our brain wants to compare something new to something we know.
But I do like the interracial comparison because I love that because I get tired of every white dude is Larry Bird and every African American or every European player is Manu Ginobili or Jordan in some way, shape, or form. Let players play. We can come up with the comparisons after their careers are done.
Childish Gambino once said, "I'm not going to stop till they say Donald Glover is the black James Franco. No, James Franco is the white Donald Glover."
Bars.
I ruined the bar, but it's there.
No, here's the thing. The best thing about Childish Gambino's freestyles are the spoken word interval that he always has in every freestyle that he's ever done. If somebody could give me like a collection or a compilation of those, I'll be a happy man because it's always like, yeah, I was at Whole Foods, I was getting the bunk cake and this, that, and the other. I was like, yes, you were, Childish. And yes, you were.
It's definitely a slice of life.
Yes.
I mean, this next player, I feel like we get a lot of slice of his life because he's everywhere for good and bad reasons. Mr. James Harden on Team LeBron.
The dribbler?
The dribbler. Robert Dribbler, if you will. I can't. We'll talk more about James Harden later. I'm a James Harden hater, but that's besides the point. And rounding out the starting team, I guess, the first man off the bench. Because they numbered this weirdly on ESPN, where Damian Lillard is actually number 6. So Dame Lillard, also on Team LeBron. We'll go more in depth with him in a minute here. And then Ben Simmons at number 7.
LeBron's heir apparent, if we're going to go with that whole sort of, if somebody has to be a baby LeBron wants it to be Ben Simmons.
So funny you say that because I think about that comparison all the time. And I just bought another pair of LeBron 3 retros.
Okay.
I'm now 3 deep in.
Oh, well done.
And I was feeling nostalgic. I watched some YouTube clips of LeBron from the 05 and 06 season.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the 3rd season LeBron, hence the LeBron 3.
Sure.
And that man, Washington Wizards, playing against Gilbert Arenas, Antoine Jameson, Caron Butler, the best the Wizards have been in.
Were they wearing the navy blue with the Dumbledore logo?
Yes. I like the Dumbledore logo, though. I think it was tight.
Listen, I enjoy it. I don't like the repurposing of the Bullets uniform with the Wizards paraphernalia.
Yeah, it's like separate but equal. No, I was kidding. That's
Christmas.
It's just LeBron in that series was taking the open 3. Ben Simmons still won't take the open 3.
No, it's crazy to me because Giannis is an interesting case study, ironically, in this because
he takes the open 3 now.
He takes the open 3 and he's not afraid to miss. So one of my favorite basketball pundits, Coach David Thorpe, is always insistent on both of them, in this case Ben and Giannis, taking the open 3s and get your misses and your inconsistencies out in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make light of the regular season, but it truly doesn't matter when you have the talent that both Giannis and Ben Simmons have. They're both going to make the playoffs. Knock on wood, they'll go very far in the playoffs. If you can get over missing a three and feeling like a chump, I think it goes a long way, because I think we're already seeing Giannis benefiting from taking those threes. He may not hit every three, but he's getting comfortable with every three he walks in.
And it's going to keep the defenses even more honest.
Oh,
like you have to respect it a little bit.
Mobile Shaq with a three. Never thought we'd see the day, but there we are.
Agile. I mean, Shaq was agile, but Giannis is a whole other level of mobility.
Yes.
I mean, so another point to those highlights I was watching of 30-year LeBron, like they call Ben Simmons the next LeBron. Who's the next LeBron? Watching those highlights in real time without, slow motion or this, watching LeBron in real time at age 20, there's never been another player. And Michael Jordan was so great when he was young, when he kicked off first got in the league.
Sure.
But LeBron is 3 years younger and is a literal Mack truck with a Ferrari engine. Like LeBron is so much faster and just makes the effortless play. And like he's doing this dump off passes to Drew Gooden and this the worst team, old man Eric Snow. And it's like the worst roster around him. But everybody else around him is running in slow-mo. Yeah. And he's doing that flash moment from Justice League where he pokes, this is the sword from Wonder Woman. Yeah. And it's like pushed it back towards her. That's how fast LeBron's moving. And he's just bigger, stronger, more athletic. And it's just, Luka, you do great things. Ben Simmons, you do great things. But LeBron's a one in a
That is a
lifetime.
beautiful thing you just said, because LeBron is truly the only player, even though Giannis is kind of coming up on him with regards to this category that I'm about to speak to, where he literally feels bigger than the court that he plays on.
Yes. Very true.
Giannis is getting that way. I think you and I were both at the Blazer game.
Yes.
And, the Bucks were
30 and 20 without trying. I've never seen anything like it before.
That effortless or effortless, whatever the way Shaq says it, but you can literally see Giannis count in his head, okay, I'm going to get this rebound and I'm going to run to that end of the floor and I'm going to do this 6 times during the course of the game. Of those 6 times, 4 times I'm going to try to get mine, but 2 of the times I'm going to look for shooters. And that's one of those things where, to your point, he still doesn't look as fast as what LeBron did. And borrowing your analogy of a Ferrari engine and a Mack truck body, that's one of my favorite descriptions of a professional wrestler from Bray Wyatt, because that was his whole...
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think you're a genius. And as a low-key wrestling fan, welcome to our kingdom.
I didn't mean to, but we are.
Here we are. And that was the perfect analogy, because it was always that combination of LeBron James, Karl Malone, and Magic Johnson put together. And there was this clip that went viral on Twitter this weekend where you just saw Magic Johnson leading the break. And he had a certain way about doing it that I think LeBron is the biggest difference, rather, between LeBron and Magic leading the break is Magic was a showman in life, whether he's at a boardroom or on the court. LeBron is very much all about efficiency. The one thing that always intrigues me about LeBron is he's a guy that's literally built to run and play that style of basketball, but he never plays with pace. And it's always been interesting to me because I think that is truly LeBron at his apex when he's running at you. But I think it's great. I want to speak a little bit about local boy Damian Lillard and some of the havoc that he's caused over the last month and a half. And he didn't even get the Western Conference Player of the Month, which is absurd to me.
Yeah, I mean, he will in February. I mean, he has to in February because he's 2-time week player, Western Conference. That's so many adjectives.
Yeah.
Western Conference Player of the Week 2 times running.
Yes. But he didn't get the month. And to me, averaging 48 points a game and
10 assists or something.
10 assists, knock on wood, he gets the Blazers at least the 8th spot. And I think he's going to get it because I'm still waiting to see how this story ends for Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. They've got a nice squad in Memphis, but I don't think they can maintain that with Dame right on their coattails. So it'll be interesting.
I don't think they can either.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anybody else on Team LeBron? I know we kind of did a little bit about Ben Simmons. Joker's going to do Joker things. I love the play that he had on CJ McCollum where he blocked his shot and then hit the ball off of CJ as he was coming down out of bounds.
Shout out to oh my gosh, what's
Stretch Mark 5?
Yes. What's
Jalen Jacoby.
Yeah, Jacoby.
Yep.
Shout out Jacoby. That's like one of the funniest things I've ever freaking heard. It's mean, but it's funny. Jason Tatum, which, man, I'm a Celtic hater through and through, but I love that man's game. Smooth as butter. Like
he is very interesting. And going back to the lost episode that maybe one day you'll hear if we decide to open a Patreon and ask you to charge $10 a month to listen to our outtakes. He is kind of the face of Jordan Brand right now because Luka is taking a team to greatness, whereas Jason Tatum has kind of been in this team that has an infrastructure that's built on success and built to win. And I think we agreed upon in that episode that Jason Tatum would probably have the longest run out of all of the current Jordan Brand class that are this new generation.
His game is built to last. He has the athleticism now and the skills for when the athleticism fades. He'll be all right.
He'd be all right.
Now, this next guy, Mr. Chris Paul,
speaking of Jordan Brand,
fascinates me. Yeah, speaking of Jordan Brand, but not just that. Every year, whether it's Kobe, who's just too damn old and should not have been an All-Star that year, but it's his last All-Star game. Gotta be. Stuff like D-Wade last year. I believe it was last year D-Wade retired.
And Nowitzki, right? They both got the honorary.
They both got the honorary nods. Chris Paul is of honorary nod age, but is hooping hard enough to where he truly does, or he's earned his spot.
It's not a basketball nepotism pick, is what you're saying.
100%.
He's earned it through his accolades and how he's played this year.
Now it's 17, 5, and 6 as his split. 17 points, 5 rebounds, 6.6 assists. That's not Devin Booker's 29 points. But
talk about it.
The team is much better, and talk about low expectations. Like, did anybody shit harder on a team than the world chat on the Oklahoma City Thunder? Like, we buried that grave before they even see it.
We were basically trading Chris Paul before he even played a minute for this.
And that's messed up.
That is messed up. I mean, we thought he was going to be Mr. Buyout guy, or if not Mr. Buyout guy, he would be a part of some trade that I think a lot of places had him going to Miami. But to your point, Robbie, he's also been an all-star. This is his first berth since 2016.
Yeah, it's taking a little break.
That's been really interesting to me because I think the all-star game is notorious for getting people based on their past accolades or if they develop this cult-like following like Alex Caruso.
Or you play with James Harden.
Exactly.
It just stifles your game. Unlike Russell Westbrook. So
speaking of James Harden teammates.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook is actually the next guy on the list here. And Russ, man, so I went to the Rockets game. Rockets v Blazers earlier this month, and James Harden had a beautiful game. He had 11 points. Just biffed it. Horrible game. But Mr. Energizer Bunny, Russell Westbrook, took that game over and kept them in it. They ended up losing to the Blazers. But I've never seen, and people say this all the time, Russ plays with like reckless abandon. But you don't realize how just impactful he is until you're watching him live, because you'll see somebody kind of lollygag up into a screen. I'm gonna set the screen right here.
Let me count 3.
Yeah, count to 3. I'm gonna move. No, Russ is and is going as fast as he possibly can, and it's beautiful. I think his effort. Not to say Chris Paul didn't have effort while with James Harden, but James Harden's skill set is voided, or like. It doesn't affect what Russell Westbrook's going to do. And that's just giving you intensity and effort.
I like that point a lot because initially when I saw that Westbrook was going to join Harden, my thought was, if anything, Westbrook would be the one that would have his powers nullified a little bit because James Harden's so ball dominant. To your point, you can be the less ball dominant person, but if your effort is still there and your passion is still there, because that's the one thing we always talk about with Russell Westbrook is, yeah, he may be a little frustrating to watch because he picks weird battles. Like, I'm going to shut down Ricky Rubio. In actuality, he probably should have shut down Donovan Mitchell. But that being said, there is no better reason than just passion and hustle. And I think he will do that until the day he decides he doesn't want to play basketball anymore. And we always talk about this concept of Mamba mentality. And I think a particular facet of Mamba mentality is the fact that you hold everybody accountable and you are king shit. And nobody should ever outwork you in the room. And I think Russell is the one that best amplifies that.
100%. Like, so many Kobe anecdotes in the world, but like, it all boils down to work harder, period. Just work harder. Doesn't matter if it's what you're doing. Just work harder. It could be, oh, you're not sleeping well? Work harder at sleeping.
Yeah.
You're not doing good at work?
Close those eyes.
Yeah, right? Close them. Go to bed earlier. Get off your cell phone. Just do it better.
Yes.
And man, it's beautiful because like, Russ he saw Kobe firsthand.
He's a local boy, right?
He's very local. And his shoes everything about him is bold, and I can start getting teared up about Kobe. Talking about Russell Westbrook. That's all it all interplays.
Here's the thing. That is where I think this generation of player that Mr. Bryant influenced and emboldened to be risk takers, not only in your basketball, but also in your leadership and your off the court activities. That's where we see his true brilliance. And I know there's been a lot of analogies made, and I don't want to talk too much about Kobe because I don't want to make my co-host cry, because he is a Kobe guy through and through, and he's Mr. LA. And I'm happy that Robbie's in my life now. But Kobe dying is like John Lennon in the sense that John Lennon and the Beatles influenced so many artists to play a certain way, to sound a certain way, to consider different things. And that's going to be Kobe's true impact, and his true legacy is his coaching, which I never thought would be the case because he was so amplified as a player. And I know I use that word amplify as a crutch, but with Kobe, everything was always on full volume. And that's what it is with Russell, is they will go balls to the wall. They will go 0 to 100 real quick. And there is no thought in terms of, should I have slowed down going into that dunk? Probably not. So I think it's one of those things where Russell is there. There is something to be said about his skill set that he didn't let James Harden dial it down to such an impact that we saw a multiple year absence for him from the All-Star break weekend festivities. So that's nice. And then we'll use this awkward transition to talk about the last man on the team, Domo Sabonis.
It's funny. It's always like the white guy that gets picked last. And it's like, I imagine, okay, we got you. Go, who's left? Man, Sabonis. But Sabonis been balling. Like,
I was going to say, to borrow another Jalen and Jacoby speech pattern. Sorry, we'll edit this. Preach is the fact that Jalen would always talk about Rob Pelinka as being the guy that kept the GPA where it needed to be for the team, and that's how I always view the white guy at the end of the bench. And sorry if that's racist, but it is what it is. But Domo has a hell of a low post game, and I'm always wondering, is he the person that you guys as the Lakers should have gone after with Kuzma?
Right. Maybe because he's a sneaky tall man. He's 6'11", but he's still like he's Slender Man. Yeah, not literally Slender Man, but you wouldn't think a guy with his build and kind of just like the way he looks is putting up 18 and 12 with 20 PER right now, player efficiency rating. It is above average.
It's like I'm talking
38th in the league
right now.
Dude, 38th in the league, and I mean just think about. Yeah, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, player efficiency rating, but it's just like. That's strong for somebody who got traded as like filler for Paul George.
Yeah,
some good ass filler.
Yeah, I mean, both Oladipo and him thrived in that setting of, I don't want to call it basketball purgatory because apologies if there are any Indiana Pacer diehards that listen to this podcast, but it's just something we don't think about until come playoff season where they're inevitably locked in the 4-5 matchup with the Washington Wizards. Even though I don't think they've ever played, but that just feels like the quintessential NBA TV Eastern Conference matchup is the Indiana Pacers versus the Washington Wizards.
Some small middle of the country market thing, yeah.
And then you're just like, I'm going to watch the last 6 minutes of this because this will be a nice lead into the Western Conference game. But Domo's been getting buckets. He is an underrated player. He's got the good pedigree there with his dad being the prolific passer and prolific player that he was. So it'll be interesting. Domo. Domo.
You gotta, good genes there.
Oh, I'm a big fan of it. And I think I would love to see and this is my weird NBA All-Star weird fantasy thing, is him and Joker having a pick and roll situation where they're just throwing no-look passes to one another. So one person hits somebody in the fourth row with a behind the back, over the head pass and gets that person a concussion, and then we're going to watch basketball games played with nets up.
And they're both gifted ass passers. I mean, it's funny. So 18 and 12 All-Star winning team. I think they're third or fourth in the East.
Let me look that up.
No, I think they're probably fifth now. But they're in the playoff hunt. So Mr. Karl Anthony Towns is bitching and moaning about not being an All-Star with his 25 and like 13. But your team is like last.
Indiana Pacers are sixth. And they're actually one game behind the Philadelphia 76ers.
So they're right there in the hunt.
They're definitely there in the hunt. And we'll use that opportunity to talk about a Philadelphia 76er that's on the other end of this All-Star matchup.
Yeah.
And Team Giannis. And his first pick was Joel Embiid. Thoughts on Mr. Embiid?
Man, I hate Joel Embiid.
Why do you hate Joel Embiid?
Man, because I've never seen anybody with so much God-gifted. Well, yeah. So not ever seen anybody who is just like squandering.
So you think he's squandering his
Man,
talent?
he eats like crap. Like he's not ever particularly in shape.
I love a good Shirley Temple as much as any person.
I do too. But man, he's just like he's Dwight Howard.
Oh, why you do that to Joel Embiid?
Man, because he's so much fun. I mean, he's smiling, giggles.
Yeah.
He seems serious about the game.
Talker extraordinaire.
But push comes to shove, we need to see more. And at least Dwight Howard got his team. And while leading the team, he was the focal point of the team, consistently got them through the Eastern Conference Finals to the finals. That's only one time to the finals, but they were contending multiple years.
Yes.
And Joel Embiid judging by where he was picked here, he is the star of the Sixers. I'm not going to say he's not, but much like his Under Armour shoes, it's just like a lot of this unused potential. He could, if he were to lay off the Big Macs and take the game a little seriously, maybe ice up a little more after games.
Yeah,
he could really move the needle a little more. But
you see these flashes of dominance with Embiid, and that's what's also frustrating to me. Because on the surface, and granted, I don't know what he goes through on a day-to-day basis, you just feel like something is missing. And it's unfortunate, going back to our other favorite topic of this podcast, apparently Ben Simmons, where it almost seems like that civil war is brewing, where you're going to have to pick one in the future. And are we sure Joel Embiid is the one that we want to keep, in my best Bill Simmons voice? Because I think at this point, you're always going to miss, let's say, anywhere from 15 to 25 games with Joel.
At least.
There are questions that, are you taking too many threes? And granted, I don't want to turn this into a retrospective on
analytics.
Analytics, but he is built to be played in the low post. I don't want him to give up his three-point identity, because I do think that's a modern wrinkle of the game. But just go down there and showcase to everybody you're the last dragon, so to speak. And you are that spiritual successor to Shaq, where you can just dominate with one half spin.
Not only the last dragon, you're the last dragon, and you're being guarded by Mushu from Mulan, like the smallest freaking dragons on earth.
Talking about barbecue chicken, going back to the Shaq thing.
Should be. I mean, Shaq is right though. Like he should be grilling up. I mean, we are going to be picking on PJ Tucker a lot until they get some. I think.
Do they make off-white stilts?
Right.
I saw the popular meme.
They might, but I mean, they're talking about the Rockets are talking about getting somebody on like the waiver market, the big man. But until that happens, we're going to keep grilling PJ Tucker for having to be the center on that team.
Yeah.
But you got PJ Tucker or you got Chris Middleton on your switch.
Yeah.
You have even Sabonis. Sabonis is 240. He's not a big dude.
I was going to say the only person that I could think that could give Embiid trouble is the recently acquired Atlanta Hawk, Clint Capella. Yeah. And Atlanta's not going to make it.
And Clint Capella's, he's nice, but so here's another facet to why Joel Embiid can be soft. So you would see Clint Capella, that should be a one-on-one matchup for the days for Joel Embiid, is to get bucket after bucket after bucket.
Right.
But Joel will play down the competition. He'll play around the competition in terms of, let's just take a three. Instead of me going in the post, I'm just going to play around. Like, oh, okay, I don't want to get banged up. I don't want to, whatever I don't want to do. It's just frustrating.
Now that I think about it, the Dwight Howard is an apt comparison, because Dwight, similar to what Shaq was as well at some points in his career, they're both showmen. They want to give that paying audience something to really...
You want that soundbite.
They want the soundbite. They want that funny ha 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 moment. And I think at times Joel thrives too much to do that. And whether it's the quote-unquote self-monitoring, self-policing way of not shit-talking as much this year, which, granted, I haven't really heard that much shit-talk from Joel Embiid. I think shit talk a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be interesting, because I honestly thought that shot that they lost to would be a turning point or a breaking point for this Philadelphia 76ers team, because you lost in one of the most heartbreaking fashions, speaking of favorite heartbreaks earlier, where Kawhi hit the 7-bounce shot. Only way it could have been more beautiful was if it took 6 bounces, so we could call it the 6th shot.
Yeah.
On the 6th. And to me, I'm like, okay, I just lost this way. He's inconsolable. Sorry, English not my first language. Bear with me there. In the locker room, how do you rebound from this? Because if you are who you think you are, this is going to be that moment that propels you to greatness. And as of right now, we don't see it. So
here's a basic fundamental, and I don't want to be like a sizeist or a weightist, or I definitely don't care what size people are. But Dwight Howard's a specimen, man. Like Dwight Howard to this day is in fantastic shape. Like Dwight, I don't know if it's genetics, but Dwight, smiles, ha ha ha. He was in the weight room though. Yes. He's in there working on moves. Like Dwight, say what you want about his personality, but
when he came to play,
the body speaks.
The body speaks for itself. And speaking about the Raptors, the next pick that Giannis had was Pascal Siakam.
Speaking of body, I mean, Pascal, man, Stretch Armstrong.
Pascal is so good that you almost forget Kawhi Leonard was there last year.
100% putting up 23, 7, and 3.
Yes.
So here's funny though. So he has a lower player efficiency rating than Sabonis though. I think it's kind of funny. And though Pascal is arguably way better. You 100% forget about Kawhi.
Absolutely. I mean,
who? Thanks for the championship, dog. Don't let the door hit you.
And that's going to be an interesting question. Like, do you ironically or unironically retire Kawhi's Raptors jersey? Because I don't think we've seen a better single team career for 1 year. I mean, not since, let's say, the only thing I can think of is Carmelo in college, where he played for 1 year in Syracuse and they won the title. And then he's like, I'm going to ride off into the sunset of beautiful Denver, Colorado.
Rookie Magic Johnson's the only close comparison, and he had freaking Kareem.
Yeah.
So, come on.
Yeah. And I don't think Kawhi was half as expressive as Magic Johnson was in that first game where Kareem hit the skyhook and he was just jumping into his arms. So,
and Kyle Lowry isn't Kareem.
Yeah.
No offense to Kyle Lowry.
Nope.
But
Kareem's not walking through that door.
There's never been a situation like that before. But, man, I would like to see, so the kind of pivot in the shoe a little bit. Pascal wears a lot of KDs.
Sure.
I think just the fact that he's from London, I believe. He's British.
Let me check that.
Because he has a bit of an accent. It could just be a colony thing. I don't know. But that boy international. Like,
that boy is international for
you
sure.
Could really, I want to see him leave Nike. Let's see him join Team New Balance or something. And I want to see his signature shoe. Where's he from?
He is from Cameroon.
Cameroon, okay. So it was a colony at some point.
New Mexico State.
Oh, what?
Yes. Go Aggies.
But, man, he is so... I watched him another Blazer game. I saw Pascal the third game this year.
Yes.
But, man, I was very impressed with him. Just, he has a lot of it.
Like that intangible quality that you just kind of say, okay, this guy's going to be a star.
His figure magically grows to be an extra inch long when he needs it to on defense. You know, some weird stuff like that. It's just makes it happen.
No, I think he probably had the benefit of the NBA star that most is like his game, with Kawhi being there last year. And I was really intrigued by how would he handle it this year, because we were all ready for the inevitable decline of the Toronto Raptors this year because of the fact that, hey, you're not supposed to be good now that you've lost this talisman in Kawhi Leonard. But egg is on my face.
Oops, we still are.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And not only that, 13-game winning streak, probably the hottest team in the league. And it's going to be a really interesting out in the Eastern Conference, which is something we really can't say that much because inevitably we've always kind of been, and by we, I mean me, I've always thought the Western Conference was far superior, and I never really paid attention to the Eastern Conference.
Until this year. This is like, it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
You think about the Blazers chomping at the bit, so to speak, and they're 4 games under 500 in the ninth spot.
Should be 3.5 after that debacle in Utah.
Man, that Utah call was bad.
I'm going to see where is Rudy Gobert. He's 7th in ESPN's roster slots for Team Giannis. We'll get there when we get there, but I feel for you, Dame. So do you want to share anything?
No, I mean, look, let's just pivot. We'll jump back around. So I think no, let's keep it the way it is so we can go starters. Then we'll pop back into Rudy. So Kemba, Boston's finest. Better than Kyrie in this situation.
Absolutely.
Not better than Kyrie but in the situation, better than Kyrie.
Not only that, the best number 8 walker. Shout out to Antoine.
Yeah, right. That's kind of messed up they let him wear number 8.
Yeah, but then I thought he was also one of the many that was potentially retiring the number 8 and going to a different number.
He did not, though.
Yeah, I think he made claims about doing it, but maybe just... That's always interesting.
There's nothing wrong with wearing number. If you wear it because of Kobe, there's nothing wrong when Kobe passes. You're honoring him your own. You don't have to change it. You've been honoring him the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to speak to Kobe or for Kobe because I've never met the man in a professional or personal setting, but the type of dude that he is, he would like for a player who, granted, has that great skill set to wear that number, especially to your point, Robbie, if that number is indicative of their love of Kobe.
Been a lot of talk of Kobe becoming the new logo for the NBA. And cool, you can do that. I think when it comes to logos, you don't mess with it just because it's your branding.
For sure.
And think about how much recall you have to do across the world.
Right.
Just financially, it's stupid. But at the end of the season, I would like to see every team retire 8 and 24. No team could ever wear. Nobody could ever wear 8 or 24 in the league ever again. The Miami Heat did it for Michael Jordan. They have 23.
And Mavericks did it for Kobe this year.
Yes, they did. I want to say somebody else did it for. I think the Mavericks might be the only team that have Kobe in the stands. But, if somebody busts your ass so many times, like Kobe, I believe, got 40 on every team except for the Lakers, obviously.
Right.
Which
I think he probably got 50 in practice, but practice scores don't count in this crazy stat we have.
One of my favorite stories, Luke Walton came over, hung over, and Kobe said, "No helping Luke, he's guarding me." And Kobe put 70 on
a sobering 70.
Yeah, very sobering 70. But Kemba, buckets, quality,
BX
good dude. Yeah, right. He showed up on Jesus and Mero.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But think about it. So you have Kemba Walker, which I think is the polar opposite of the next player we have, Mr. Trae Young.
I get buckets.
He was my shooter. So he said there's not a lot of shooting.
Yes, you're right.
I counted Damian Lillard as one of my shooters. Sure. And Mr. Trae Young. Who's your other shooter?
Harden. I think that's an underrated.
Because you were shit. you try 30 times, you're going to make 10 of them.
That's exactly my point. I mean, he's got the ultimate green light. Going back to Harden just for a little bit because I know he's Robbie's favorite player, and he's going to be the next guy to replace LeBron whenever LeBron decides to retire, I'm sure. I'm doing this primarily foot and mouth. I always thought James Harden was going to be the next Manu Ginobili in terms of this hyper-efficient, beautiful left-handed player, and he's really just thrown that back in my face. He does play some beautiful basketball. He's still got a great passing eye, but to Robbie's point, he ruins it with step backs and searching for fouls, but he is also a product of his environment, so I can't fault him for that.
Looking for fouls in all the wrong places.
Looking for fouls in all the wrong time. James Harden, you are worse than crime. Sorry.
He's not, Utah, great example. Officiating has been weak the past couple of years. So if they're going to call a foul on everything, swipe your hand up every time.
Exactly.
Do what you got to do, James.
I mean, not only that, I think he is a type of player that basically renders another team's best player ineffective. So going back to your Utah comparison, Houston plays Utah in the playoffs. Rudy Gobert's a wrap because how do you take away Harden with just Rudy Gobert? And Rudy Gobert is built to collect fouls for James Harden at this point. And he's a great defender. I will never hold that against him, but I just think the way that it's going to be policed is Harden is going to get that call 11 times out of 10.
Well, we're out of the top 5 now, so
yes,
we'll continue on about Rudy.
Yes.
The Stifle Tower, one of my favorite nicknames ever.
Yes.
But I'm so happy he's an all-star this year. He got stifled the past couple of years, putting up just about 15 and 15.
Yes.
Which is freaking nuts.
70% almost.
He leads the league in, field goal percentage. But they don't make them like that anymore. They don't make straight up defensive. And it's just a testament to what defensive means in 2020. Because defensive is leading and being a leader in blocks and rebounds, yada, yada. But putting up 15, think about early 2000s, just defensive stop. Like your Doug Christie's, your Bruce Bowens, struggling to get 15 points.
Battier.
Yeah, Shane Battier. You're struggling to get 15 points. Now it's just there's lobs towards the hoop. Rudy Gobert can get 15 points on lobs.
I mean, he's also always kind of been fortunate in the fact that he's had gifted passers around him. So, I mean, Rubio probably got him a lot of oops. Mike Conley has been a little bit of a disappointment this year. A lot of us thought this would be the year he finally cracks the All-Star team, but Rudy has just always gotten his business done. And one thing that's been interesting to me is going back to a point you said earlier, it almost seems like we always get one defender on the All-Star team as okay, we need to get at least one defender on here. We want to call it the Ben Wallace spot or the Andre Kirilenko spot. And Rudy is kind of maintaining that Utah tradition of getting
Andre Kirilenko was
AK-47, one of the other best nicknames.
All-star.
Who would have thought Utah Jazz, misappropriately named, give us two of the greatest nicknames we've seen recently.
Now, okay, so Rudy ballin'. I love Rudy Gobert.
Yep.
Bam Adebayo, one of my favorite players in the league this year. I love Bam.
I love Bam too. And he, to me, I know we kind of railed on this earlier where we don't want to call somebody the next or the baby, but he is the player to me that best embodies Draymond Green's skill set, except with 100% less asshole.
I was thinking Sean Marion.
Ooh, I like that comparison.
So, I mean, just your Swiss Army knife on the wing is the fundamental.
Yeah.
I hate Draymond because he's a Warrior and a Laker Warrior thing.
Yes.
I respect the Rockets think they can play small ball because Draymond Green was born.
Yes.
But not everybody's as stout and smart and just pretty much your safety on defense.
Yes. One of the most overused words we use in sports today is revolutionary. Draymond Green is a revolutionary.
He led the revolution.
Yes. He is the one that basically the Rockets hope Robert Covington can live up to the Draymond Green hype. And it'll be interesting because that is definitely going to be a basketball experiment where I think at this point that's all Houston does is playing an elaborate game of truth or dare amongst its front office and being like, okay, let's shoot 43s in a game.
See what happens.
Let's get an entire roster of people under 7 feet.
Let's shoot it. Where's it going to happen?
Yeah, I
Three's
love
better than 2.
Miami's going to be very interesting with Andre Iguodala. He shouldn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting because he is getting there in age, but it's a very interesting fit.
You got to back up Bam. That's your job.
Back up Bam. You've got Jimmy Butler there. Dragic is still there. Tyler Hero is appearing to be the shooter that we've been craving for a while.
He's the white shooter. He's the white light we never got from Larry Bird.
Exactly. He's the new Wally Szczerbiak to tie back to what we were talking about earlier. Speaking of which, let's talk about Jimmy Butler.
Another love. Like, so I won't wear any West Coast team jerseys other than the Lakers for obvious reasons. But I've been muling the idea of a Jimmy Butler jersey all season.
Are you going Miami Vice?
Oof.
That's because that's the play, if you ask me.
It's a hard pull for. I'm a very pale man. I'm wearing pink now, but it's just like.
Why don't you come on home, as the kids say? Just embrace the pink on pink.
I should.
No.
I love that list of OG heat, but like Jimmy Butler shows that you don't have to go to a made product. You can be the product to made it. Yes. To made it. Let's use that as our English. You can make it. He's the special sauce.
Yes. He is Mr. Intangible. He's a dog. He's an asshole. He's going to get you.
I'm a bitch. I'm a lover.
Who is that? I'm trying to remember. Was that, oh, God.
I want to say Alanis Morris.
No, it's not Alanis. It's somebody else. And how about that? We'll have that as a trivia question for next episode because we need to figure that out. Let's see. Kyle Lowry, speaking of special sauce ingredients, he's always better than what he looks like he's contributing.
100%.
Like, to your point, Giannis can give you 30 and 20 effortlessly. Kyle Lowry looks like he's going to take 3 hours to get you 10 and 10, but then lo and behold, you've got a nice 17 and 12 looking at you.
You ever had real Korean food, like real Korean food?
I have not.
Man, so like once you let go of the, I know yakitori.
Yes.
And you let go of the ramen, and you get like the real food. Man, it looks like you're not gonna like it. Then you eat it, and like, okay, she's fucking delicious.
Of course,
Kyle Lowry is that dish.
He's that
you look
dish.
at it like, okay, in my mind, I imagine chubby Houston Rockets Kyle Lowry
for sure, and he's still got a little bit of plump to him.
But he has just, especially at 6 feet.
Yeah. He's basically, this is our new podcast is all about how Kyle Lowry is a snack in modern parlance.
Right.
We'll go over
looking like a bag of Funyuns.
No,
delicious.
With his sexy self. All right.
But 19 points, you wouldn't. Marcus All's been out, so no Kawhi, no Marcus All consistently. Bucket's got to come somewhere. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, maybe the most underrated backcourt.
Oh, absolutely.
In the league right now.
I mean, I think it says something that Kyle Lowry was the one that stayed because for all the different Raptors players we've seen over the years, and they almost always seem to be at the end of LeBron's greatest moments, Kyle Lowry was the one that stayed. Kyle Lowry was the one that kind of shined brightly during that series where it seemed anytime the Raptors were great, it was at the heart of a Kyle Lowry basketball move or some sort of experience that he cultivated.
He messes it up sometimes too.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better than a Kyle Lowry flub up because you're like, haha, this dude definitely is the dude we play with and against in 24 basketball whenever we see him. But,
why'd you make that pass?
Come on, Kyle. Actually, I think Canadians are very nice, and I don't think they would ever raise their voice.
And that's why they'll retire Kawhi Leonard's jersey, I think. If it was America, they're not retiring that. We're bitter. But Canada,
honestly, I think it depends on the franchise. I think if it's like a Starcross franchise, I think that gets retired, and they might ask him to come back when he's retired so they can sign a one-day contract with him.
Yeah.
Which is one of my least favorite things in all of sports now, but that's another topic for another day. Speaking of another topic, but not for another day, we've got Brandon Ingram next, the Slender Man.
I am very I'll bring this up at the end, but I'm surprised he's an all-star when there's other players who are also not in the playoff. Well, I guess the Pelicans are in the hunt,
yes,
technically, but it's hard to ignore the breakout season that Brandon Ingram's been having. I loved his game. I loved watching him as a Laker, but every time, more. Give me more. Just give me something. Give me a smile, a yell, like
emotion,
something.
Yes.
And this year he bodies people. He's so I think they're being generous, giving him 190.
Yes.
And the belt size, but to keep that team energized and afloat, afloat without Zion. It's great, but I don't think it's all-star worthy.
So who would you give the spot to then?
Man, I genuinely think Devin Booker deserves it only because he's been putting up Brandon Ingram-like numbers for years that are better than Brandon Ingram.
Of course.
And his team is also in Z Hunt. Z Hunt did it kind of throw in there.
Yeah.
But they're also in the hunt. So if you're not gonna purely reward winning, why is Brandon Ingram there and he's younger? To your point of this guy is an all-star, quintessential Chris Paul. He's been there before. Let's bring him in again. Or I
mean, it's always a star-driven league, and I remember the best case scenario for this was when we had the Kobe and LeBron puppet campaign by Nike, and it just seemed inevitable. We'd get Kobe and LeBron in the finals. It's what we wanted, and lo and behold, Dwight Howard comes, and we were all really frustrated. But imagine it from a David Stern perspective of, yes, if there's something I love more than two established stars going into the finals,
parity
is a brand new star that usurps one of my existing stars. And I've said the word star a lot, so I'll stop saying star.
We're talking about all-stars, though. So they're all-stars.
All-stars. And it's one of those things where this seems like a year too early, but then at the same time, it is something to be said that Pelicans team, while not as great as we anticipated, is more than holding its own. And I think it is going to be a real dogfight between them and the Blazers and the Grizzlies and whoever else is in that 8th running spot.
He was the number 2 overall pick from the jump. He has all-star potential, Kevin Durant potential,
right.
Potential. So I do genuinely enjoy seeing fans, coaches, and players recognize that the potential is starting to blossom into something real.
Yep.
And you can't play with LeBron. If you're going to be another wing who's a scorer, you can't play with LeBron.
That's interesting you say that because it more than often is true. Because when he made his climb ring or his letter home to Cleveland, I would have thought he would have at least kept Andrew Wiggins for a year just to see what does he have before just shipping him off for Kevin Love. To your point, LeBron just wants established people. He wants to be the de facto winner.
You're in my spot, man.
You're in my spot. You're going to eat your cornbread?
Yeah, right.
Yes. Underrated movie, Life. Check it out. That's my old millennial take of the podcast. And then lastly, we'll have Donovan Mitchell. Anything you want to say about young Spider-Man there?
Best shoe name, the Dawn issue 1, going into comic books, Spider-Man, Spida, super cool. I also don't think I also don't think he's an all-star, but just because it's Utah and I still think Rudy Gobert still when I think of Utah, but he's putting up 24 points a game. Utah historically hasn't had prolific scorers outside of, one Karl Malone.
Yeah.
But he is getting the buck. Oh, and shout out to Darren Williams' 5-year run, just being elite. But he is the bucket maker.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, because this is the question and narrative I always see with young Donovan Mitchell is, do you think he is the heir apparent to Dwayne Wade?
No.
Okay.
I think he is he's Zach LaVine with
a well-adjusted, self-aware Zach LaVine?
Yes.
He doesn't chuck the ball as much?
He is like so when you're a beginning chef, so you're making I'm going to use butter chicken because we cooked it twice now at the house, and we're trying to not just have baked chicken breast.
As an Indian, I appreciate that.
You're welcome. But I mean more in the sense of the first time the seasoning was a little off.
Sure.
V2, even closer.
Mm-hmm.
V3 is going to be delicious.
Yeah.
So like Zach LaVine's like V2. Kevin Martin was V1 of the sauce. Just chuck it up, get your buckets.
Weird ass shot.
Yeah, had some athleticism though. He could do some things.
He's got
Zach LaVine, hyper athletic.
Yes.
Can make a lot of different plays, but not refined. Donovan Mitchell is just
the chef's kiss.
Yeah, you got the right. The garnish is on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's both appetizing and beautiful to look at.
Absolutely.
Just D Wade, man. Much like Kobe's game and a young LeBron, just so much style and just longevity to it. This D-Wade looked grandiose.
Very grandiose.
The stutter step.
Everything is exaggerated. It goes back to the whole quality of, are you showman or are you an efficient player?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really like your cooking analogy with Donovan Mitchell. But one thing about D-Wade's game that was almost like a hidden delight was his shot blocking prowess.
Oh, yeah. Chase you down, front block, back block, side block, from behind the block.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up the block.
Yeah, his friend Jenny from the block.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that he had.
By the way, lovely halftime show. I really am wondering what is going on in life if somebody is threatening to sue the NFL based on that content, because it's just wholesome.
My husband Gary divorced me because he saw Shakira's hips.
Hey, they don't lie, so that's one thing. And that's another one where I'm just like, let's just celebrate our cultures that make this country great. That's my Mayor Pete statement, if you will.
So, I mean...
generic statement. Yeah, go ahead.
We forgot Chris Middleton.
Of course, which is the best description for Chris Middleton.
Forgot Chris Middleton.
What would you like to say about Chris Middleton?
That the boy is a floating 50, 40, 90 club member.
Of
He's
course.
right around there. For somebody, it's a 39th pick in the second round.
Yes. 39th pick overall.
Yeah, second round pick. Yeah,
Yep.
to clarify.
Yep.
But just what I think makes that team, i.e. the Milwaukee Bucks, so deadly is that everybody knows that they're there on the court to support Giannis.
Of course.
They're not there to be better than Giannis. They're not there to outshine Giannis. They're there to keep going to food. They're the rice. So Giannis is the dish.
Absolutely.
But if you just have chicken and sauce, it's good. What's the sauce to soak into? What's the
amuse-bouche?
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite things.
Amuse-bouche. Or mayonnaise,
Mayonnaise.
Food lube, as I call it.
Yeah, listen, hey.
You want a dry-ass turkey sandwich? Like, Giannis is the meat. But
Giannis is some grade A turkey. Is turkey graded in grade A?
Right.
Like, what is the caliber of turkey?
Good jerk chicken or buffalo chicken.
Buffalo chicken?
It's a lot of different chickens.
That's
Turkey.
the one thing where like chicken kind of gets the short end of the stick, because beef has like filet mignon and all these different cuts, like the Kobe, the Wagyu. Apologies if I mispronounce it. Wagyu. Chicken is just chicken. Like, what's the high quality chicken? For Chris Middleton, for me, he is a quintessential other, where he's the perfect role player. And it goes back to this whole thought process of Mo Williams got an all-star berth because of LeBron James. And
One time.
And this is, I believe, Chris Middleton's second.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Middleton is definitely a better player than Mo Williams, but that just also speaks to the greatness of the leading man, or the entree, if you will, to hop on this food analogy a little bit more, is the fact that he can make others better than what they are. And it's interesting to me because this is something you and I talked about off mic, was the fact that it was really fun watching the draft. And it's one of those no-brainer ideas in hindsight, but I'm glad they're letting us see that. And it's something where we saw last year where LeBron James drafted Chris Middleton. Giannis felt some kind of way that he traded Ben Simmons for Chris Middleton. And that speaks very well to the chemistry and the regard that they have for one another.
Number one pick was number 39.
Exactly. I mean, that's the question of value, and that'll be part of our analytics podcast, which will be here in 2030, I'm sure. So any other thoughts you have about the All-Stars?
This one last part about Chris Middleton. So great point with Mo Williams. Josh Howard was Dirk's, got an honorary nod.
Devin Harris,
Andre Karol-Lake. I would throw him in there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the fact that he had the second berth, Jameer Nelson made it 1 year. Rashard Lewis, akin to Ray Allen. It can go all day.
Donovan Mitchell.
See, Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell at this point, though, like, if you're going the next 10 years, you go Donovan Mitchell. Go the next 5.
It's Rudy.
I like a defensive-minded guy.
Yeah.
But the fact that he has a second nod already and 2 in a row, I already think he establishes himself outside of that realm a little more. But still, I mean, this so solid. You quantify shooting many different ways. Is it volume? Is it efficiency? Is it off the dribble? Is it catch and shoot? Chris Middleton does it all 4.
Yes.
So fitting. Just again, is that more fitting than Bradley Beal's hero ball every night? And the really fun sound clips. The thing, you can't guard me,
Yeah, I mean, because podcast is a visual medium, we're both making that hands on our hips faces. Huh? No, but I mean, I think, unfortunately, at the end of the day, the current system as it is, they get to pick who they reward, and I'm not upset with it. I mean, there are cases to be made from a statistical perspective that, we want Devin Booker, or we want a Bradley Beal on there. But we have to get these guys as winners, and we have to make sure that they are delivering, and those stats have some amount of substance to them, and they're not empty calorie stats.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think empty. Yeah, we'll save that for another day. I like to talk about empty calorie scores.
Yes,
because empty calorie scores and shooters go together. Just like shoot, like that's all like one
fat kid
clump.
and cake.
Fat kid and cake is inefficient shooters and shoes.
Yep.
Signature shoes.
Yes.
But that's the all-star roster we have this year. And that's pretty much just the game. We'll talk more about the 3-point shootout and the skills challenge and the dunk contest once that kind of happens. So we'll save that for post All-Star. But thanks everybody for listening. Be sure to leave us a comment on how you guys are feeling on this sports focused Sneaker History podcast.
We'd love to come up with a name if you can as well, because we're kind of unsure what to call this. And the other thing is, for sure, if you guys like and support us, great. If not, Robbie, I'll just see you at lunch once a week and we can have this conversation where it's just you and I.
We'll have it one-on-one, but it's much fun having it with everybody here listening.
Yes.
So tell us who your all-star snubs are. Is there anybody that you would have liked to see? And if so, who are you taking off? Sound off with your 2 cents, your hot take.
Exactly. And not only that, are there any sneakers? Because we have to tie it back to our mothership and the Sneaker History podcast, where my esteemed co-host is one of the pillars of that program. So, Robbie, is there any particular shoe that you're most looking forward to this week?
The Pro Model.
The Pro Model.
That black and gold Pro Model.
Okay.
I'm going to hoop the hell out of that thing. So
he's bringing a triple-double to Greater Beaverton area, 24 Fitness.
What that means is 2 points, 3 rebounds.
Yeah, we're adjusting.
Yeah.
It's a bell curve.
I mean, 3 points, 2 rebounds.
Yes, that's fair.
Either way, triple-double.
Games are to 11.
Anything? I know you're a Nike basketball fan. Any of these shoes speaking to you?
Yes, I'm really partial to the Iron Man 6, even though I believe they're called trophies. The vibe I got was Iron Man, and I think it's lovely. It's one of those things that I know that we'll probably talk about this some other time, but All-Star for me, in terms of a basketball sneaker event, used to be Christmas morning, because that would be the weekend where you would truly see some out there shoes. And it worked. And there was usually a theme behind it. So something that you and I kind of also discussed about was this year there doesn't seem to be a common link between the sneakers. And that's unfortunate, because that level of storytelling unlocks why people fall madly in love with sneakers to me.
It's BYOB, bring your own beer, but in shoes. So you got all these random 6-packs lying around the party.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm going to drink a little bit of all of them.
Here's a lovely IPA. Here's a porter. Me, I will be sipping my nice water on the rocks. Hold the rocks. So thank you for that.
So, man, that was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Please make sure you're following Sneaker History at Sneaker History. Ro, where can they find you on the internet?
I am on IG as Rohit M13, and I'm also on Twitter at Roheezy, but mostly on Twitter I just like to link articles I intend to read at some point, including my beautiful co-host and his lovely scribes. Where are you currently at? Nice Kicks?
I'm a little bit of everywhere.
Okay.
But just having fun. So, yeah, fun at the theme of this outro.
Okay,
so,
quick pick. Who you got? Team Giannis, Team LeBron?
Oof, LeBron.
Okay, I'll take Giannis.
And we'll see who is the correct man
exactly
when we talk to you guys next. So, thanks everybody, and have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the game.
I'm waving to you.
Yeah, waving. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, I wanted to ask a couple favors of you. If you're interested in more content from the Sneaker History crew, become a member of our Patreon page, where we post daily content, drop exclusive episodes, and host monthly giveaways. We'll even help you hunt for your grails. Check us out at patreon.com/sneakerhistory. Also, make sure you sign up for our email newsletter at sneakerhistory.com/email. We send out weekly updates on the footwear business and what we're working on here at Sneaker History. Last but not least, take a second to tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how much it means to someone, and it might even plant the seeds for something even bigger. As always, we appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace. Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.